The day my son emptied my life savings and flew to Las Vegas with his wife and her mother, I didn't scream. I didn't call the police. I simply sat in my grandmother's rocking chair, the one I'd reupholstered with my first paycheck from cleaning offices in downtown Chicago, and I smiled. A quiet, knowing smile that held oceans of understanding. 3 days later, my phone rang. His voice was broken glass. "Mom, what did you do?" My restitution was already complete. The morning I needed to breathe most deeply was the morning I discovered every dollar had vanished. Eleanor Grace Reed sat perfectly still in her modest Cleveland bungalow, the glow from her smartphone illuminating the lines on her 68-year-old face. The notification read, "Available balance, $0.00." She read it once, twice, a fourth time. Her hands that had scrubbed floors, kneaded bread, and cradled a newborn, trembled not from age, but from that deep, seismic shift when the soul understands what the heart has refused to accept. The call to First Midwest Bank was a clinical procedure. Automated prompts, then a young man named Kevin who sounded genuinely sorry. "Wire transfers, ma'am, made online yesterday, totaling $78,450. Your security questions were answered correctly." "And where did the money go?" Eleanor asked, her voice surprisingly steady, as if she already knew the answer but needed to hear the sentence pronounced. "All transfers went to an account under the name Benjamin Theodore Reed." "Ma'am," Kevin added gently, "would you like to file a fraud report?" Eleanor didn't respond. She ended the call and placed the phone on the worn oak coffee table. Silence filled the little house on Maple Street. The only sounds were the steady tick-tock from the mantel clock her father had brought from Ireland, and the soft hiss of the radiator. Outside, the familiar jingle of the Mr. Softy ice cream truck played its cheerful tune, oblivious to the earthquake that had just opened beneath Eleanor's feet. Then the landline rang, the old corded phone she kept because you never know. "Ellie, honey, have you seen Ben's Facebook?" It was Gladys from next door, her voice bright with neighborhood gossip. "He's in Vegas, at the Bellagio fountains with Amanda and her mother Constance. Good Lord, they're living like celebrities." Eleanor's spirit seemed to leave her body for a full 30 seconds. She walked slowly to the small desk in the corner of her living room, opened her laptop, a gift from Benjamin 2 Christmases ago, and found her son's profile. There he was, her Benjamin, the boy she delivered after 18 hours of labor and raised alone after his father decided fatherhood wasn't for him. The son for whom she'd skipped meals, worked double shifts, and sold her mother's pearl necklace to pay for his braces. He was smiling, holding a champagne flute, dressed in a suit that probably cost more than her monthly mortgage, one arm around Amanda, the other around Constance, a woman whose glances had always made Eleanor feel like something tracked in on expensive carpet. The caption read, "Vegas, baby, sometimes you have to bet on yourself. #new beginnings, #deserving. Below, Amanda had commented, "When you surround yourself with winners, you become one. Thanks for everything, Mama Reed," winky face. Eleanor did not cry. She did not throw the laptop against the wall. She simply stood there, holding the edge of the desk until her knuckles turned white. And then, in the quiet of her tidy living room, she smiled. But this was a different smile. The smile of a woman who has finally solved a puzzle that's been tormenting her for years. Meanwhile, under the neon glow of the Las Vegas Strip, Benjamin Reed raised his glass without apparent guilt. "See," Amanda murmured, sipping her $15 cocktail. "It was the right move. She wasn't using it. Better it creates memories for us than sits in some account gathering dust." Constance offered a thin, polished laugh. "That woman probably thinks blackjack is a brand of playing cards. The money was practically wasted on her." Benjamin said nothing. He watched the dancing waters of the Bellagio fountains, their colors shifting from blue to purple to gold. But something stirred in his gut, a faint, familiar ache he'd learned to silence years ago, back when he was a hungry boy, and his mother would whisper, "Hold on, my love, tomorrow's sun rises on new possibilities." The walls of Eleanor's bungalow seemed to lean in that evening. Everything was in its place, the framed photos on the piano tracing Benjamin's journey from chubby-cheeked toddler to smiling graduate, yet nothing felt familiar. Each image was now a receipt for a payment made in love, now apparently stamped "paid in full," without her consent. At 20, she'd sold her car to pay for his community college tuition. At 25, she'd taken out a second mortgage so he could transfer to Ohio State. At 35, she'd quietly covered wedding expenses Amanda's family deemed beneath their standards. Eleanor had cooked, mended, applauded, and loved with every fiber, only to watch him drift farther with each accomplishment. "Mom," he'd say during his increasingly rare phone calls, his tone gently dismissive, "you don't understand how the modern world works. Amanda and I are building a lifestyle. I need to be fully present in that vision. You'll always be my mother, but you can't hold me back." 2 weeks before the discovery, Eleanor had taken the bus across town to Benjamin's luxury apartment in the warehouse district. She carried a basket of his favorites, homemade apple butter and rosemary cornbread. She buzzed his unit, no answer. She waited in the marble lobby for 90 minutes until the concierge approached her. "Looking for Mr. Reed?" "Yes, I'm his mother." "Ah." The young woman's smile was professional but cold. "I have instructions that unannounced visits aren't to be accommodated." Eleanor absorbed the words like a physical blow. "May I ask why?" "I couldn't say, ma'am. Those are Mr. Reed's instructions." She walked the 3 miles home that day, letting the chilly Cleveland wind numb her face. She thought of every overtime shift she'd volunteered for, every sale item she'd bought instead of what she wanted, every dollar tucked away in the Benjamin's future envelope. That evening, Gladys came over with pecan pie and strong coffee. "You've got the backbone of a steel beam, Ellie. Don't let this bend you. He's young. Maybe he'll come around." Eleanor sighed, her gaze fixed on the flickering candle on her table. "Do children ever feel true remorse, Gladys?" "Sometimes," Gladys said softly, "but often when it's too late to matter." "Then I hope his too late arrives while I'm still breathing to see it." "And what will you do?" Eleanor looked up. A new light, clear, hard, and brilliant, shone in her blue eyes. "I'm going to do exactly what they've taught me to do. I'm going to smile." Gladys frowned. "Smile?" "I've cried every tear my body can produce, Gladys. Now I will smile in silence, because when a woman has nothing left to lose, she becomes the most dangerous force in the room." Meanwhile, in a $500 a night suite at the Venetian, Benjamin was stepping from a marble shower when he overheard Amanda's voice, sharp and clear, on the balcony. "Yes, it's done. The old woman didn't suspect a thing. The money's moved. Tomorrow we set up the account in the Caymans, and then we phase him out. Of course he believes we're partners. He's so wonderfully naive." Benjamin stood paralyzed, water cooling on his skin. He said nothing. He slipped back into the bedroom where Amanda pretended to be asleep. He closed his eyes, but the axis of his world had tilted forever. Back in Cleveland, Eleanor brewed a pot of chamomile tea. The night was thick with approaching winter. She opened her recipe box, filled with cards for meals she'd made for school potlucks and birthday parties, and on a fresh index card in her careful school-teacher script, she wrote, "This is not an ending. It is the genesis of my silence, and my silence will echo longer than any scream could ever travel." She placed the card back in the box, lay beneath the quilt her mother had made, and for the first time in years slept a deep, dreamless sleep. And as she rested in her modest bed, her son, in a hotel suite overlooking the Las Vegas Strip, checked his phone. A new notification flashed. Account frozen, pending investigation. "What the?" he muttered, the screen's glow illuminating his confused face. The first domino had fallen, and Benjamin did not yet know that his mother, in her profound quiet, had already set the entire sequence in motion. The dawn after the discovery did not find Eleanor broken. It found her clarified. She rose at 5 a.m. as always, her bones protesting their age, but her spirit felt lighter, sharper. While brewing coffee, she watched the steam rise, a tiny cloud in her warm kitchen, and it took her back to age 16 when she started cleaning offices in downtown Cleveland's Terminal Tower, a girl with mended stockings and hands already rough from industrial cleaner, who knew every inch of those marble floors and could polish a desk until it shone like dark water. Her mother had died the year before. Her father worked the night shift at the steel mill. Eleanor didn't weep. She woke each morning before the streetlights dimmed, packed lunches for them both, and went to work. At 19, she became pregnant with Benjamin. The father, a boy with a fast car and slow intentions, promised marriage, a house, a future. He lasted 6 months. The day the doctor said, "It's a boy," he vanished like smoke. Eleanor didn't crumble. She tightened the apron strings, secured her son to her chest with a homemade sling, and mopped floors while singing him Beatles songs. She raised him with bottle caps as toy cars, with library books instead of television, with soup made from bones and vegetables from Mr. Chen's market. He was her universe. When Benjamin turned 7, the law firm where she cleaned offered to pay for private school if she became their full-time office manager. She accepted without hesitation, working 60-hour weeks and spending every Sunday at the park with her son, never arriving without a small gift, a new pencil, a polished stone, her full attention. Years unfolded. Eleanor painstakingly learned to navigate insurance forms, tax documents, college applications. Her formal education ended at high school, but her wisdom grew fierce. "Mom," 16-year-old Benjamin said one evening, "when I'm successful, I'll buy you a house where the pipes don't rattle in winter." "Don't buy me houses," she'd replied, smoothing his hair. "Just remember the woman who taught you to stand up straight." Then came business school. Eleanor took out a home equity loan, risking the roof over her head, because Benjamin needs this opportunity. She sold her mother's silverware, her father's watch, her own small diamond engagement ring. "My son will be an entrepreneur," she told the ladies at church, and he became one, but not the man she imagined. It was at a startup networking event that he met Amanda, a woman with straight blonde hair and a smile that never quite reached her eyes. From their first meeting, Eleanor felt a chill in her stomach, not jealousy, but recognition. This was a person who viewed relationships as transactions. Amanda came from a family of carefully curated appearances. Her mother, Constance, wore counterfeit designer bags and spoke with affected elegance. Their first visit to Eleanor's home was a masterpiece of polite contempt. "What cozy charm," she'd said, her eyes scanning Eleanor's thrift store furniture and handmade curtains. "So authentic." Amanda, examining the kitchen, murmured words Eleanor would never forget. "I don't understand how you survived this childhood. This isn't a home, it's a waiting room." Eleanor had smiled and served the peach cobbler, and something small inside her had crystallized into something unbreakable. The erosion was gradual. First, requests to call before dropping by, then suggestions to meet at restaurants more convenient for us, then exclusions from important events because you might not know anyone there. Benjamin, dazzled by this new glittering world, acquiesced step by step. One Sunday dinner, what would be their last unplanned meal, Eleanor made her famous pot roast. "Mom," Benjamin said, not meeting his eyes, "Amanda feels our relationship is codependent. I need space to build my own family identity." "I only ever wanted your happiness," she whispered, watching the gravy congeal on her plate. "I don't need you to want things for me anymore," he replied, as if her love were a weight. "I'm building an empire, and empires require focus." Eleanor didn't argue. She wrapped the leftovers in foil and placed them in his hands. The following months were a silent dismantling. Amanda began advising on Benjamin's finances, suggesting new accounts, counseling against emotional money decisions. "She's from a different generation. She doesn't understand modern wealth management." Eleanor noticed the changes: missing bank statements, strange charges on her credit report, a gnawing certainty that the floor beneath her was growing thin. That's when she visited Arthur. Arthur had been the boy next door, now a retired attorney. His office smelled of old books and loyalty. "Arthur," she said, placing a small pile of documents before him, "how do I know if someone is using my identity?" "Are you in trouble, Ellie?" "No, but I fear my son has become a stranger." Arthur spent weeks tracing digital footprints. One evening he called her back, his voice heavy. "Eleanor," he said gently, "Benjamin added you as an authorized user on several accounts. You didn't sign anything, but your signature is there." "But it's forged, and there have been systematic withdrawals for 8 months. This is financial elder abuse." Eleanor took the papers. She didn't cry. That night, the pain was too deep for tears, not for the money, but for the horrifying confirmation. Her son wasn't just influenced, he was an active participant. In the following days, Amanda and Constance planned the Las Vegas trip. Benjamin's startup was floundering. He'd sold his car. Then Amanda suggested the elegant solution. "It's family wealth, Benjamin, and she's hoarding it. You're not stealing, you're redistributing assets to where they can actually grow." Benjamin hesitated, but he did it. One midnight, he transferred every dollar. He did it quickly, like ripping off a bandage, then closed his laptop and poured himself a drink. Eleanor discovered the emptiness the next morning. She didn't weep, she didn't scream. In her recipe box, she wrote on a new card, "My son did not die today, but the mother I was to him did." From that moment, Eleanor Grace Reed transformed. Her body continued its gradual aging, but her spirit tempered into something unbreakable. She began standing taller, speaking less, observing everything. While Benjamin walked the Las Vegas Strip believing he'd claimed his destiny, back in Cleveland, his mother was quietly, meticulously weaving the web that would return to him everything he'd taken, not as a gift, but as a lesson. Eleanor's silence became her sharpest weapon. She enlisted Arthur's legal expertise and her neighbor Miriam, a retired forensic accountant, to navigate Ohio's elder protection laws. They filed reports with Adult Protective Services, froze assets through court orders, triggered fraud alerts with all 3 credit bureaus. Eleanor moved with the precision of a surgeon, each action calculated, calm, devoid of malice. Meanwhile, in Las Vegas, Benjamin's paradise developed cracks. Credit cards declined at restaurants. Hotel security asked for alternative payment. Amanda's affection cooled to clinical detachment. Constance's condescension hardened into open contempt. Then the conversation on the balcony, the plan to phase him out, the brutal truth that he was merely an entry ticket. Alone in a city built on illusions, his funds frozen, his companions vanished, Benjamin finally saw the gilded cage for what it was, and he understood, with a jolt that stole his breath, that his quiet mother hadn't been defeated. She had simply removed the foundation of the false life he'd built. The desperate phone call followed. "Mom, what did you do? They've frozen everything. Amanda left, her mother too. I'm stranded at the airport." Eleanor's voice was a calm, still lake. "I didn't take anything from you, Benjamin. I merely stopped what you were taking from me." "The casino security is involved. You said you'd always help me." "I did, until you stopped helping yourself. Now you must learn." "Learn what?" "That some debts," she said softly, "accrue interest in ways money can never repay." She hung up. She offered no rescue, only the terrifying gift of consequence. The scene at the Cleveland Hopkins International Airport was a study of quiet devastation. Eleanor, wearing her simple navy coat and the pearl earrings her mother had left her, waited at the arrival gate. Benjamin emerged from the jet bridge, looking like a man who'd aged 10 years in 3 days. His expensive suit was wrinkled, his eyes hollow. When he saw her, he stopped. "Why are you here?" "To witness," she said, her voice clear in the bustling terminal, "as not your mother, as the woman's trust you valued at exactly $78,450. She handed him a manila envelope. Inside, photographs of a little boy on his first bicycle, his kindergarten handprint in dried clay, the report card where he'd gotten an A in math after she'd tutored him every night for a month, and a single sheet of paper. She spoke words that would stay with him forever. "You were my greatest investment. Now you are your own bankruptcy. Feel the ground beneath your feet, Benjamin. It's the only thing that's ever been real." A college student waiting for her own family recorded the moment on her phone. An elderly woman with unshakable dignity, a well-dressed man weeping in a busy airport, and posted it to TikTok. Within hours, #TheQuietMother had 2.3 million views. Thousands commented about dignity, about strength, about the price of betrayal. Eleanor never saw it. Her justice was complete. Eleanor returned to her bungalow. The following month, a routine checkup revealed aggressive lymphoma. 6 to 9 months with treatment, the oncologist said gently, maybe a year. She declined chemotherapy. "I'd rather meet my maker with my hair and my wits intact," she told the young doctor. She spent her remaining days in her rocking chair, listening to Motown records, accepting dandelion bouquets from the neighborhood children, and watching the maple tree in her front yard blaze autumn red. Benjamin moved back to Cleveland, not into her home, but into a small apartment 3 miles away. He got a job as a manager at a hardware store. He didn't try to apologize with words. Instead, he began showing up on Saturdays to fix what was broken: the loose step, the dripping faucet, the fence that leaned with the wind. He never asked to come inside. She never invited him. One crisp November morning, as sunlight painted her living room in gold, Eleanor Grace Reed passed from this world. She was found in her rocking chair, a slight, peaceful smile on her lips, a sealed envelope addressed, "For Benjamin." He felt her departure like a change in barometric pressure. When he finally entered the silent house, he found the envelope beside her. "My son, love does not keep ledgers. It gives without counting. And if you have learned to give, truly, without expectation, then you are not lost. Do not look for me in cemeteries. Look for me in your next honest transaction, in your next fair deal, in the moment you choose integrity over advantage. If you can do that, then none of this was wasted. It was your education. I loved you first. I love you still. Mother." Benjamin wept then, deep, shuddering sobs that cleansed rather than drained. He wept for the woman he underestimated, for the love he discounted, for the man he had failed to become. In the following years, the neighbors noted that Benjamin Reed became the man who shoveled snow for elderly neighbors, who fixed bicycles for children who couldn't afford repairs, who volunteered at the food bank every Thanksgiving. He never became rich or famous, but he became trustworthy, kind, present. The bungalow on Maple Street remained as Eleanor left it, a testament not to what was lost, but to what was learned. And in the neighborhood, a story was whispered, that the strongest love is sometimes the love that says, "This far and no further. You must walk this road alone, so you may discover who you are when no one is funding the journey."
And so, dear listener, as this story settles around you like a well-loved quilt, let its lessons soften into your consciousness. The strength found in quiet dignity, the power of boundaries drawn from love, the truth that sometimes the most profound justice arrives without spectacle, and that redemption is never about returning to who we were, but about becoming who we were meant to be. Release any burdens you carry tonight, any resentments that weigh on your heart, any regrets that whisper in the dark. Imagine them dissolving like sugar in warm tea, sweetening your spirit rather than poisoning it. You are safe in this moment. You are held in this peace. Your worth is not measured by what others take from you, but by what you choose to give from a full and open heart. Now let your breathing deepen. Let your shoulders relax. Let your mind grow soft at the edges. Drift deeper into rest, where healing works its quiet magic, and tomorrow offers a fresh page, waiting only for your hand to write upon it. Good night, dear listener. May your sleep be deep and your dreams gentle. Did this story touch your heart? Where are you listening from tonight? I read every comment and love hearing from this incredible community. If this story brought you peace, consider sharing it with someone who needs it. Your support through likes, subscriptions, or super thanks helps create more healing stories. For more journeys to calm your mind, explore the stories waiting on screen. Don't forget to hit the bell so you never miss our nightly retreat. Until tomorrow, remember, the strongest foundations are often built in silence. Good night and sweet dreams.